The invasion of Earth began not with stealth, nor with diplomacy, but with arrogance. Velkron warships darkened the skies, blotting out constellations above Earth's atmosphere with metallic confidence. 72 planetary-class carriers, flanked by thousands of destroyers, cruisers, and troop barges, descended with precision only achieved by an empire that had raised 12 civilizations in the last cycle alone. They came expecting surrender, submission, and another flag atop a conquered world. What they got was silence. Not the silence of fear, but the kind of calm that precedes a storm so vast, so monstrous, that even stars seemed to retreat. Earth did not blink. Not a single distress call was sent to the stars. No planetary leaders attempted negotiations. The planetary defense grid didn't even activate in the first 5 minutes. It was as if humanity was watching, waiting, choosing. That was the first mistake the Velkron Empire made. Believing silence meant weakness. High Admiral Sither, the Velkron Vanguard, stood aboard the bridge of the Dominance Eternal, the flagship of the invasion fleet. His compound eyes adjusted to Earth's hues as data streamed across the holographic displays. Population clusters, industrial zones, orbital stations, a few hundred satellites that barely qualified as threats. Primitive, he said with a sneer. Begin orbital saturation in the Western Hemisphere. Let them understand what happens to those who defy imperial rule. Fleet command obeyed. Thousands of kinetic rods and plasma slugs launched toward Earth's major defense installations, cities, and transport hubs. But none of them landed. Not one. Somewhere between the edge of space and the upper atmosphere, every single payload vanished. Not exploded. Not intercepted. Erased. The scanners blinked in confusion. Operators recalibrated. Still, the data was undeniable. Their weapons never reached the ground. That's impossible, one officer murmured. Sensors show nothing. No interception. No counterfire. They're just gone. Then the satellites turned. Not Earth satellites. Those were decoys. The real ones had been cloaked, hidden in the shadows of the moon, drifting in orbits that matched natural space debris. They came alive in perfect unison. Hundreds of sleek, matte black defense platforms ignited and deployed from hiding. The Grave Choir, as Earth's orbital defense system was codenamed, began to sing. Within 90 seconds, 10 Velkron ships were torn apart by invisible hyperrail spikes, their cores rupturing before alarms could even sound. The Dominance Eternal shuddered as proximity warning screamed. A hyperspeed kinetic lance had passed within 10 meters of its starboard hull. "They're firing from nowhere," screamed a Velkron technician. "We can't even locate their guns." The High Admiral growled and activated full-spectrum scans. "Find their fleet. Now!" But there was no fleet in orbit. Nothing visible. Nothing cloaked in conventional spectra. And then Earth spoke. A single transmission broadcast across every Velkron frequency, in perfect Velkron dialect, with perfect pitch and cultural resonance. The voice was calm, unmistakably human, and terrifyingly cold. "You fired first. We finish what you start." That was when the real war began. From Earth's crust, hidden bunkers opened like the petals of metal flowers. Subterranean mass drivers launched projectiles at relativistic speeds, skipping every known rule of planetary warfare. But they weren't aimed at the ships. They were aimed at the space between, ripping tears in space-time itself, detonating gravitational shear bombs that bent the laws of inertia and crushed entire battalions of drop ships in moments. One weapon, code-named Nemesis Spear, launched from Antarctica. It was never seen, only its result. A beam of absolute stillness shot upward, and wherever it passed, nothing remained. It didn't destroy, it deleted. In low orbit, human warships emerged. Not thousands, not even hundreds. Just 8. Only 8 vessels. But each one was a nightmare design. Angular, jagged, built for nothing but maximum kill potential. The Black Vow, Last Prayer, Midnight Chariot, and the Angel of Ashes led the charge. They were not sleek. They were not elegant. They were terrifying, because they didn't operate like ships. They fought like predators. Human AI battle minds coordinated every move with quantum-linked reactions. When the Black Vow fired, it didn't aim for hulls. It aimed for souls. One round breached a Velkron command vessel, bypassing shields and hull armor entirely. The bridge vaporized. Not exploded, disassembled. The crew never had a moment to scream. Sithar didn't die immediately. His final seconds were spent crawling through shattered glass as he looked out the viewport, watching a human ship hover motionless in front of his dying flagship. It had no visible weapons, just a line etched across its prow. We remember Titan. He didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. This was retribution. When the Velkron tried to flee, Earth did not chase. It blocked. Using wormhole jammers and time scramble nets, the human fleet sealed every possible escape route. Each Velkron ship that attempted to jump was pulled back into normal space, shredded from inside by paradox destabilization. Within 7 minutes, over 90% of the Velkron invasion force was gone. Not disabled, not captured, gone. Earth's casualties, 0. Not a single civilian death, not a scratch on any major city. It was as if the war had been prepared for centuries, because it had. Humanity had learned long ago that it was not alone, and rather than shout into the void, it prepared in silence. They built weapons that could fold space-time into a blade, AI minds that predicted enemy movement before it began. They colonized their own oceans with drone factories and embedded entire fighter swarms beneath the surface of Jupiter's moon, Europa. Earth had turned its entire solar system into a kill zone, disguised as a backwater. When the final Velkron warship imploded under pressure from a localized black hole pulse, Earth sent a second message. Short, unencrypted, undeniable. Let this be your warning. We are not prey. Across the galaxy, Imperial networks fell silent. The Velkron Senate convened an emergency session only to discover that their chain of command had no remaining admirals. All had been lost in the failed invasion. The Empress wept not for the dead, but for what it meant. Earth could not be conquered. Earth could not be negotiated with from a position of power. Earth was beyond empire. And worse, they had held back. Surveillance drones recorded energy levels that indicated Earth's weapons had operated at only 12% capacity. The 8 human warships had never even activated their final protocols. Galactic historians would later call the event the culling of arrogance. Entire civilizations rewrote their military doctrines. Peace treaties were redrawn. Planetary rulers swore it was never provoke a species that fought like gods and struck like myth. The High Oracle of the Zenta Confederation summarized it best in her vision record. We peered into the darkness, thinking ourselves the hunters. But Earth is the thing that watches, the thing that waits, the thing that warns once. And so the stars whispered, legends spread, and the great empires fell back into silence, because somewhere out there, orbiting a quiet blue planet, was a species that had been underestimated, and the last who tried vanished in minutes.